And Brian's located in Maryland, and he now is the owner of a laundromat. And he got in the program May 20th, 2025, and closed on the laundromat in July 2025, and was doing his first coin pull on July 7th, 2025. And he's in my mentorship program, still in my program. And we've been working with him from the start. And now that he's got the laundromat, he was asking us some questions about marketing. We still check in with him, and we're here to help him out with anything he needs. So, my first question for you is, how many sellers did you talk to before you actually came across the one that got you the keys?
How many sellers did I talk to? Um, Probably 10. 10 like physical conversations.
So you had 10 meetings with 10 different sellers at their car wash or laundromat. Because I know you did go to some car washes as well. You were sending us some pictures.
Oh, you know what? Actually, more than that, if I think I wasn't even counting car washes.
Yeah,
I
both
was just
total.
think, yeah, probably, yeah, I would say probably 15 conversations. That those could be phone calls, multiple calls, and then meetings. In-person meetings with like the seller to like, see if I wanted to present an offer. Total was probably 8.
Okay. That's pretty good numbers. I saw it's funny that it's came full circle now because the day of my live event, which was June 26th, you had sent me and Cameron a message on Voxer and said, I wish I could be there with you guys, but I will be there next year with a laundromat under my belt. I pray you guys have a great event. And Cameron wrote back that day and said, no worries. Yes, we will be giving you a plaque at next year's live event. So that's crazy that less than 2 weeks later, you made that happen and secured your first laundromat. So great job. You pretty much predicted your future there.
I
Um,
mean, when I got into this, my like I invested the money in the course and in the mentorship program, and my goal, I knew that I was going to need to go through a decent amount of numbers. I'm also in a big city. I'm in Baltimore, right? Like it's a major market in between Baltimore and DC. Like there's a lot of big money around here. Real estate's expensive. So my mindset from the start was I need to take massive action quickly so that I can try to close on something and then still have access to you all to help with, obviously the ins and outs and different things like that. And that was, and again, my background is in sales. So I understand the numbers game is really what it's at, what it's about anyway. So that was really my focus. Like I was trying to talk to as many people as I could, meet with as many sellers as I could, and I knew that I would learn a lot more there. I just want to say too, what's interesting is initially because I don't come from I've never used a laundromat in my life. Okay. Honestly, I don't wash my car either. I drive a pickup truck and I'm kind of one of those people where I'm like, the truck ain't dirty, man. You're not using it, right? So
it'll
I
rain.
also I also don't use car washes like that either. So for me, I was thinking like, okay, well, I'm only gonna target car washes because I'm positive that there are more car washes within a 30-minute radius of me than laundromats. Well, lo and behold, I looked at the numbers and there were like probably 70 car washes within 30 minutes of me. There were 300 laundromats within 30 minutes of me. I was biased initially. And I know that was against your advice. I know you and Cameron were like, nope, make sure you do both. But I was just like, no, like I don't see myself as a laundromat owner. I don't want to own a laundromat. Like I just can't imagine actually doing that. And here we are. So I just wanted to say that because I thought that was funny. And there's got to be people listening that might be thinking the same thing.
That's hilarious. That happens all the time. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I really want a car wash. I really want a laundromat." And me and Cameron will be like, "Well, that's great, but let's be open-minded to both."
Yeah.
Very cool. So, briefly walk us through your deal, and you can go as broad as you want, as in detail as you want. But obviously, you're doing something right. Like you said, when you first bought it, you were having 14, 15K months, and you just had a $21,000 month from the laundromat. last month in October. So, walk us through what that deal was like and then also what you've been working on since. I know you're keeping us updated and you're doing some really good stuff to increase income.
Yeah. So the deal itself is very unique. So this deal was actually on oh gosh, what was it? Biz Buy Sell for a long time. Okay. Um the so when this guy got my letter, he called and he said, "Hey, here's what the deal is. You can go check it out, go look at it. I've got two other businesses that I run that are just, basically keeping me busy." Basically, this guy's story was he sold a trucking company that I think he inherited and started three businesses, invested in them cash up front. Okay. The two other businesses, one's a hard money lending and the other one's like commercial real estate, well, like apartment complexes, what he was buying, and then laundromats. And because he paid cash for it and didn't have any bank debt on it, he wasn't as interested in like yeah, I'm gonna give you like, sure, that he's like, I get it. The place is breaking even and it's not making me much money. He was just like, but rather than, he's like, so, then try to come and offer me 200 or 300K because of a multiple. He's like, and I lose all this money. He's like, I'll just keep it. And he's like, my other businesses fun, are fine. He's like, I'll just break even and lose a little bit of money. He's like, I'm not going to lose, 800, 900K that I put down on this thing because of that. And I'm like, okay. So again, this is in our conversation. So he told me up front, he's like, I'm gonna send you the P&Ls. It's breaking even. If your goal is to come and say, I'm going to offer you X based on the multiple, he's like, I'm telling you, that's not going to work because of what I'm in for the machines. And the other kicker was the machines were only 3 years old. So, I told him I go look at it, went, took a look, and the place was great. I also went to all the competitors in the area and realized, dude, this is the nicest laundromat of the four that are in this town.
It's
How is this place? How is this place not killing it? So I go back and talk to the guy, and I'm like, hey, we need to sit down for lunch. Like I want to, again, building the relationship because again, the deal. I'm getting to the specifics of it, but what's important about the deal is that I built a relationship with this guy and made him comfortable with me before I even pitched what I needed out of this deal in order to make it work. I think, and he told me, he said, if I didn't believe in you and if I didn't like you, I wouldn't be as interested in this. So we go, I look at the place, we sit down, and then I go back to him and I say, okay, tell me why this place is only breaking even. Like, what's the backstory on this place? Well, come to find out, the landlord of the building built the laundromat in 2021. Okay. They had a liquor store that left and they were like, well, we want a stable tenant. We think a laundromat's a good, addition. So they built it, financed it, like paid for it, and came to this guy and said, we've got a store, you just need to operate it, right? Sold it to him at a good discount so that but it's got like, probably like $700,000 worth of equipment in there. Um, and it's all Dexter, all, it runs on the app. It's like latest and greatest. So a lot of benefits from that standpoint. And so he said the thing is that nobody knew, I never did any marketing for the place. I thought that if I built the nicest laundromat and had it, then we would just be good, right? Like we wouldn't have to worry about marketing. And I'm 2 hours away. So, I figured we would be fine, right? He was like, that wasn't the case. He was like, we got customers and it's breaking even, but the place needs to make a lot more money in order for it to make sense. And so that's where I was just like, okay, I get it. Nobody knows about this place. It hasn't done any marketing and it's not being managed. So, I told him, I said, you got to give me some time. I'm going to go crunch some numbers, figure out what's what. So I went back and this is when I talked to you, I'm not you, but Cameron, and you guys just kind of thinking of my idea because I was just like, I'm not going to just give this guy, I'm not going to sign up for 1.3. Oh, also with the 1.3 million, he wanted a $300,000 down payment. Okay. So that was the other thing. I was like, okay. So I go back and I sit down with him again and I say, here's the deal. Nobody's going to buy this for what you're asking for as is. And you know that. I think we both know that. But I also can understand why you're not willing to let it go at such a discount because of how you got into it. Again, if I could have take over a loan from this guy, right, he would probably sign on the dotted line, but he paid cash for the place. So again, that's where understanding seller motivations and like the situation is important because you could look at the deal on the onset and go, that guy's trying to rip you off. Like that's a no brainer. You shouldn't do that. But then realizing, okay, I get why he doesn't want to just let go of 700, 800 grand without, on a huge discount because of he's just out that money. Right. So I came to him. I said, look, why don't you agree for 6 months? We sign a contract for us to enter into a partnership together. I'll run the laundromat. You have to give me full access. I'm gonna be collecting the money. I'm gonna do everything. I am going to be doing all the marketing, but you keep doing everything you're doing. You make sure you pay the rent. You make sure you pay the light bill. You make sure you do the accounting. You do all the stuff you're currently doing, right? And I just come in and I invest marketing dollars and I manage it without any oversight from you. Like, I get to do what I want to do. And he said, okay, I'm listening. And the agreement was in this 6 month period, he takes 25% of the profit. I take 20% of the profit, and we leave 55% in the business to contribute towards the down payment that he's going to want after the 6 month period. In the event that I feel like it's not a good deal for me, or if I can't get the money or the revenue to where I need it to be, then either we renegotiate, I walk away, or we extend this period if we want. And he was fine with all of that. He said, I actually think this works really well for me. And the only his only caveat was I get to terminate the agreement if you start tanking revenue, right? Like if this starts going in the opposite direction,
Yeah.
it calls off our deal altogether. And so no down payment initially, no, nothing other than that. And then after the 6 months or whenever we, actually finish this period, the it'll be a 5 year, it'll be a seller finance agreement, amortized at a 30-year rate, or 30 years for I think it's a 6.5% interest rate. Okay. And it's going to be a balloon at 5 years. But what we actually really like, so he wanted to do 1 million, and I said, okay, if we do 1 million, then my only ask is that if I pay that balloon off, I want step downs of the purchase price if I pay it off in a year, if I pay it off in 2 years, if I pay it off in 3 years. So the sooner I pay that balloon off, it cuts off $75,000 off the asking price at each year increment. So I have the 5 years if I need it, but if I don't need it, I can just cut that off and save even more money. So all of that's still in process, but what was really nice about it was that it allows me to still make some cash flow in the 6 month period on the 20% that I'm taking. And it allows me to be able to influence the business and drive it to make sure that this is a deal that's not gonna, I'm not gonna lose my shirt in. And it's, and again, one of the reasons I was willing to do this, the place is 25 minutes from my house, right? So it's very close. I can go there regularly. It's in between my job and my house. So I stop there on my way home from work. So again, these are all things that were unique to my deal from my situation that I was willing to go into a bigger, nicer laundromat for versus like some of the other ones that I looked at were cheaper, but they would have been much more of a heavy lift for me than something like this. So I know that's a long story and it's kind of complicated, but I wanted to give you the backstory because I think how we got to a deal like that is honestly more important than the creativity of the deal. I was able to pitch something like that because I spent time figuring out what his pain points were, figuring out what his issues were, why this place was really selling, and then how I can solve that problem is to come in as a partner and do this right without any risk to me or him. And it created a win-win. And once we were able to do that, I literally drafted the contract on Chat GPT, had lawyers look over it, we signed this piece, and then we'll do the other ones officially through the attorneys after this initial phase goes through.
You've already increased revenue like $6,000, $7,000, so that's
Mhm.
awesome.
And that's just the self-serve. If you know all in, if you count the wash and fold as well too, I mean it's an increase of like 8K. So it definitely is working. And like I said, for me, I still work full time, right? I work, 40 plus hours a week. I have a 9 month old son, a 7 year old son. I'm married, my wife stays home, right? So there's a lot of pressure on me income wise, and I'm also not in a position where I can just risk everything we have in order to do something like this. But I did want to pivot into something like this because I really want to be in business for myself. And I felt like this was something, that I could get into. So, for me, it was all about the risk appetite too. And that's why this made sense for me because I'm not having to risk everything I've worked for in order to make this successful.
And that's why we love creative finance right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
So, has this kind of taken a weight off your shoulders now, like having this, seeing how much extra income you can get with having, a wife at home, a 6-year-old son, and a newborn? I mean, what's kind of your mental state now that you're in the laundromat?
Oh, it's definitely so it's interesting. Just so I don't know when you'll release this, but everybody knows, I mean, I'm sure it's in the near future. Things are crazy right now in the economy. There's a lot going on in the business world and a lot of layoffs, a lot of different crazy things happening. It's interesting when I was in between deciding whether I wanted to go after this or not, my job had layoffs. Now I wasn't laid off, but it was almost like a signal, right? Like, hey, be good to build something else on the side. Well, I've been thinking all along, like, my company's having issues, there's challenges that they're having, and they've been talking about changing the compensation plan for a number of months now. And it's funny, they actually just did it this past week. And I have many coworkers that are like freaking out because our commission structure is changing a lot. Whereas me, on the other hand, my wife and I, we're not rolling in the dough from the laundromat yet, but it's the upside and potential is way better than honestly what we even thought it was gonna be. And just to see the fact that okay, we can like this might end up being something I would do full time sooner than some other time. By the way, that was another part of this deal. It's a 4,000 square foot laundromat in a decent area with 96 machines, right? 40, we have 42 washers and 54 dryers, right? And so I knew this also gives me the opportunity to build out and scale much more than just the self-serve side of things. So if I really wanted to do something different and do this full time, this laundromat has the capacity to support something like that. Sometimes you look at some of these laundromats that they're smaller, it's going to be difficult to build huge pickup and delivery or wash and fold operations outside of them if somebody were to want to do something outside of just the passive income on the side and something that they're doing extra. If I wanted to build this into a massive business, this has the runway for that too. But yes, it creates so much more peace of mind because instead of being worried about what am I going to do about my commission? How am I going to focus on this? Or, well, how much more do I need to sell now in order to make what I'm used to making? And again, the truth is, if you're listening to this, I don't care whether you work a salary job, whether you work a commission job. If you're in corporate America, the discretion for them to change your salary, to change whether you work there or not, to change your commission structure, it's at their discretion. It's their business, right? And I think that rather than being upset and like, I'm owed this, I've dedicated 15 years of my life and blah, 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 right? Like that's true. But the reality is that this is why being involved in a small business is it has its risk and its challenges, but the control is also something that I think is valuable. And you have to decide whether controlling your own destiny is worth the extra hours, is worth the extra risk, is worth the stress. Some people would tell you no, right? And that's fine. But for me to know if I continue to do this, I don't have to now stress about, oh, how am I going to sell? I just go sell more commercial accounts. I go sell more wash and fold, and I'm doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for them. Um, and also just my son being able to come and see what we're doing, understand it. Like my son is getting he's homeschooled. My wife stays home, she homeschools our children, and he's getting a world-class education in business by being there every single Saturday and Sunday with me. Because again, those are the busiest days. He sees so much customer interaction. He's understanding. He's starting to run the register a little bit, right? Like it's so good for him. So for me, the peace of mind that it creates is immense. So I'm super excited about the future. Like I said, the fact that we've seen things going up is really all I needed to say it's time to double down and go even harder. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
That's great. I love that you prepared whenever you started like hearing talks because like I see so many people, we're due for a recession. A recession could hit any time, right? And so many people want to when we hit a recession, then they're like, okay, now I need to go get more income. You don't do that in the middle of a recession. You prepare for a recession before the recession. So I love that you did that because, like you just said, what you said, they cut compensation. That's what you
Yeah,
said.
they changed our commission structure. So they
Yeah.
didn't lay us off, but I mean, I'm like me personally, I'm gonna make 25% less with the current deal flow that I have now.
So as soon as you heard a talks of that, you actually did something about it,
Yep.
bought more income, and now it
Yep.
doesn't really matter that you lost out on 25%. It sucks still, but
Yep.
you have a cushion. So that
Exactly.
is what so many people put off and don't think about until, we're dead in a recession. So last question, and you can add anything you want at the end as well, but so if you didn't have the mentorship, if you weren't in the inner circle program, what do you think would have been the hardest part getting through this span of time where you started and then you closed on your laundromat?
The seller negotiation and pitching and being aware of creative finance. Um, I didn't come from a real estate background. So the whole idea of seller finance was very new to me. Like I'll be honest with you, I remember going through your course, and after I finished the pieces about seller finance, I remember telling my wife, I was like, that was all I needed. I was like, that I just now that I can have conversations around that, I'll figure out the laundromat stuff. I'll get that stuff figured out. I'm not worried about that. Being able to speak the lingo and again, knowing that like I didn't know how many of these people were going to be familiar with some of these terms, right? And ironically, the guy that I'm buying it from, he's a hard money lender in one of his other businesses. So he was open to all of this. He got it, right? Like he was like, yeah, like I know I need to sell it this way. I understand. And he was like, so here's what I want, here's what I'm looking for, right? And for me, that would have been the hardest to overcome. I don't know if I could have overcome it. I remember my wife asking me, is it okay to say the cost of I don't need to say the cost because it could change in the future, right? But whatever the price of the course and the mentorship was, I remember she asked me probably 2 weeks into going through all of the videos, because I went through all the videos in like a week. Like it was very quick. Um, and I remember she asked me, she was like, was it worth that amount of money? Right. I mean, and it's not a small amount of money. It was a 5-figure number. Right. So, or I should say a 4-figure number. And I remember her asking me that. And I said, I won't really know until this process is finished and I have a laundromat or a car wash. But I want to say yes because the seller finance stuff, without knowing that and understanding what my options were and how I could talk to sellers, I would have never known that that existed. And so once I realized that and that I could use that in my tool belt, that was worth the price of admission for me. Everything else was icing on the cake. And for me, it helped me feel confident in having conversations with sellers and also knowing what were good deals for me and what were bad deals for me. So for me, seller finance, all of the creative financing options that were in my tool belt, those things made the deal for me because I wouldn't have known how to approach this guy if not, because what he was asking for I would have not actually been able to do. And especially under the terms that he was asking for, it was going through your course helped me realize I can pitch a whole new set of terms to him. By the way, I wrote this up. I actually got it right here. Like I pitched, not only did I, so you can't really see it real well here, but not only did I discuss these terms with him, but I wrote them all up, right? I just, opened up a Word document so he could review them later. And, again, I used the templates that you had, Hannah, in doing that to help with that. So that would be number one. I will say a close second to that was evaluating laundromats and car washes. So that was another thing your course was really helpful in, is helping me kind of figure out like what's a good deal for Brian. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like what works for me as opposed to just anything, right?
Yeah.
And so that would be a close number two. I knew I was going to make one of these videos one day, and I knew that when listening to everybody else, that because I listen, there's not one interview that Hannah's done that I haven't listened to multiple times. Okay. If you're out there and you're going through the course, number one, you got to decide that one day, if this is what you want to do, you're going to be making one of these videos as well. Okay. The second thing I would say is don't negotiate the price of success. Too often, people are trying to count the cost before they have anything to count. And I would say if you're trying to get into something like this, analyze as many deals as you can. I sent hundreds of letters. I think it was, I don't remember exactly how many it was, but it was like 300 something, right? I probably got contact from 30 plus people. And out of those, I ended up with like maybe, 15 or so interactions. Okay. So don't get so caught up on trying to analyze everything that you don't know with what you don't know. And I hope that makes sense, right? Like the more action you take in this, the more you're going to learn, the more confident you're going to be. I'm still learning as we're going through this right now. But what I decided very early on was I was going to use this time to either figure out if this was for me or not. Stop guessing if it's for you or not. Do a ton of action, contact a ton of businesses in your area, follow up, and do that. And at the end of it, if you realize it's not for you, then you can walk away saying it wasn't for me. But you got to burn that bridge. You got to stop negotiating the price of success. I would literally come home from work. I'd play with my kids, hang out with my wife, right? My kids, my oldest goes to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I would write letters from like 9 to 1. Okay, I would stamp them. I would get them going, right? I did this for months, right? And then once I started, and I would send the letters off on my lunch break at work, right? Once I actually started getting meetings, I would just focus on trying to book those meetings into my calendar and go from there. But I didn't try to span this out over a 6 month period. Like I knew I'm going to contact every laundromat and car wash in my market in 30 days. And then I'm going to herd the cats from there and figure out what's going on. But the longer you take to get through the numbers, the more tired you're going to get, the longer it's going to take, the more arduous it's going to feel. Like a mentor of mine early in my career told me success loves speed, and you have to know that. So if you're trying to be successful, go quick. Like don't go slow because you don't know anything. Again, I knew nothing about laundromats or car washes prior to this. What I did know was that if Hannah knew what she was talking about, and if this works, I'm going to go through all of these and there's going to be a deal for me or not. And if not, I'm out that money and I'll move on with my life and do something else. Right. Like I wasn't trying to be in limbo for too long. That would be the thing I would say. Be aggressive, decide, and don't be afraid of failing, right? Like so often I would go on these meetings and I would be like, I have no clue what I'm gonna say. I have no clue really what I'm doing, but like I'm gonna try to make this work. Now, obviously, I had the benefit of your course and a lot of the scripts and everything like that, which helped. But it has to be in your mind first that like I'm gonna figure this out, and then your feet and your brain and all that stuff move to align with that. But if you don't decide that you're gonna make this work or give it everything you got, you're just gonna be in limbo land. And if you fail at this, you're gonna be wondering what could have been if you gave 110%.
Exactly. Exactly. If that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what will. That was great. And what you said about the investment that you made into the course, into the mentorship, some people see the price and they're like, "Oh, I'm not paying that. Like that's crazy." And I'm like, "Well, I stand by my price because I know that my strategies work and we are very attentive to our mentees. And if you make that investment one time to buy something that's going to pay you for the rest of your life, it's a no-brainer. But people don't think long term like that, unfortunately. So it's definitely an investment that is you're going to pay one time and it's going to keep you giving you returns and something that you can pass down to your kids one day. So thank you for the great interview. That was very inspiring. I know that will motivate a lot of people, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so
Is
much.
there
I appreciate everything you
anything
do.
forward to hopefully giving you your plaque in person at next year's live event, or if you can't make it out, I'll of course ship that to you. So,
Yeah. And by the way, I wanted to ask, when will this interview be available? My son wants to know.
oh, okay. I would say probably like the first week of December.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably.
He's
Maybe into
list.
November, but first, I'll text you though.
So I used to listen to the course and all the interviews
Yeah,
with him in the car, going, doing different things or whatever. So not only has he learned a ton about laundromats, but he feels like he knows you.
really.
And so like he peeked his head in here. He's like, "You're gonna be talking to Miss Hannah. You're gonna be one of the people
Oh,
on the interview." So he was looking forward to it. So I think it'll be cool for him to and inspiring for him is to be able to see like, yeah, we used to listen to those interviews and because and what's cool is that he sees the work. Like this isn't just
yeah,
somebody on the screen. Like he knows how many hours it's taken. Like it's not a romanticized, unrealistic view for him of like what it takes to succeed and win. And I just love that he's able to be present to this and
sure.
growing this with us too.